This is Skeptical Spectrum, and like it or not, today I'm going to talk about Buddhism, specifically the doctrine of emptiness. Roll the credits. Da da da, the Skeptical Spectrum show, and it's got a special thing that it's going to talk to you about. The Just the very idea of talking about Buddhism drives me crazy because I love it or I loved it or whatever. I think of it as a philosophy, as an idea of people trying to hypothesize without all the instrumentation we have nowadays of the actual nature of the universe, right? People have been doing that for centuries, and people have been doing that in Buddhism. The concept of emptiness is basically, I'm not going to use their words because I'm so sick of all this stuff where everybody thinks they're enlightened or that there's such a thing as enlightenment. I don't know if there's. When I become enlightenment, if I become enlightenment, I will make a video about it. Why not? Enlightened people can't make videos. You got a problem with enlightened people? So, emptiness is really the idea that we don't know what reality looks like, feels like, tastes like, smells like, or sounds like. We have a, nowadays, I would say we have a brain that manufactures our experience. Um, and we don't seem to have control over all that. So there must be something else, right, that affects our experience besides our just creativity, or else we would all create constant freaking euphoria, you know. So it stands to reason that there is something that plays on us. So that's like, we just don't know what it is. We don't know what's behind our experience. I think a lot of Buddhists wouldn't even like me saying it that way. They would say ultimately things don't exist, but I don't think that's what it is. It's not. It's not. Not. I'm not even going to go that way. See what I'm saying? I'm getting caught up in somebody else's idea of it because I used to be really into this stuff and reading the books and all that stuff. We must be sort of doing something too. We perceive, we have experience. You're experiencing stuff now. It's just that you don't have a real experience, you don't have an accurate. You can't maybe ever. Well, I think through science we might be able to. We'd be able to infer the actual. We can already. Kids nowadays get taught about the structure and movement and updates about how the atom is and how it works. The atom, ATOM, not Adam. He's fine too. I just talked to him. The the idea is we don't really experience the things in reality that make us experience what we see. So, for example, atoms are actually pretty empty, right? If you were to shrink down to the size of a proton or an electron or a neutron, and you went into an atom, you would be like, you might not see anything because it would be like almost no. I know there's protons, electrons, and neutrons, but they're so spread out that you wouldn't see them. It'd be like trying to see another planet that we usually can't see or something like that. They would be that far away proportionally, according to our investigations of these things. And now we're like investigating smaller particles that the electrons are made of or shaped from or whatever. So that's the idea. The idea is that all of this gives us a chance to think that we can alleviate the suffering, our own suffering, and the suffering of others. And it has to do with the idea that if we stop believing confidently that all this exists as we experience it. But there's a big problem there because, okay, I've had two amazing wah meditation experiences. I used to meditate back when I could, back when I could sit cross-legged style without having my left knee patella pop out of place. I did a lot of meditating cross-legged style. And twice I experienced my whatever identity, myself, exploding into oneness with all things in a way that's ineffable, impossible to talk about. But it's a feeling, it's an experience, it's a whatever, right? So I thought this is great. I'm enlightened, sort of, and I'm going to keep doing this so that it becomes a habit for me to just have this thing. And then I'm going to walk around the world saying wise things, constantly feeling a oneness with the universe. And eventually other people will understand what I'm talking about and they will start to turn into Buddhas themselves, bodhisattvas or whatever you want to say, because don't even worry about the terminology that the experts use. It's just you become sort of too focused on, oh God, I'm thinking of Buddhist retreats and Buddhist meditation groups and people that I still come up to me and say things like, are you going at a higher vibration or a lower vibration? I don't know. I have to calm down here. Oh, I'm enlightened again. That was good. Just that one deep breath helped. I would say, though, if you do try to practice meditation, I would say try to make sure you're not constricted by your clothes, that you're not like extremely exhausted when you do it, that you're not really trying to fall asleep. If you're laying down and you fall asleep and you're doing just sort of more of a meditation where you're just like breath counting or something, that's fine. You might have needed the nap as long as you set an alarm so you're not like late for work or late for a date or late for shopping or something. Yeah, make sure that you are breathing adequately and do one of the techniques you read from experts in their books to do the meditation. And then, if nothing else, you do that day after day after day, you're going to become a calmer person like me. So, I think, and I'm talking about this to try to get myself to have a different understanding of what it can be. A big part of me says there was no such thing as Siddhartha Gautama becoming an enlightened person and realizing this stuff. There's a part of me that says what he really did was he got some experiences like I got. He was a brilliant and very rich guy, and he walked around talking stuff that attracted people. And then it turned into a very large religion that spread across different parts of Asia. And so many people, some of them quite brilliant, had similar experiences and started writing about it and the implication, and then in symbolic and mythological ways. They used like different gods and goddesses to represent different experiences or to represent the fact that everything is one thing, but it appears to be many things and all that. That's what I really think is that like you can have that experience and then you spend the rest of your life trying to get it again, and sometimes you do, but it's just like an experience like being on a roller coaster. It doesn't mean that you have changed in something better than the than you were before or than any other human or whatever. I mean, gurus get caught like talking, getting their people into like giving them easy sex and stuff like that. So you really have to be careful of any philosophical movement or community because what I just said. Bad things happen. I mean, some of the abuse. Jim Jones, I would say he was one of the people that what's the big one? Manson. Hung around with the Beatles. They had these beautiful ideas. They went and talked to the Maharishi, who also got in trouble for sexual stuff. And so be careful with this stuff. But I get the idea that I don't know that I'm perceiving things in the right way. It is very possible that just the way reality moves about and stuff like that is that maybe after some complexity of organization, th- things become conscious, or maybe there's something called experience, like maybe when two particles interact with each other, they might experience something, not experience things in a way we could understand. But as you know, there's this thing called gravity. So in some sense, like particles in this high technology sort of scene change kind of material and this sort of foldery thing, um, they are gravity is attracting them. A lot of things are happening that I don't remember what they are, but gravity is one of them. This is being pulled by this, and this is being pulled by this. So it's like my like sort of definition of consciousness, not like when I'm like trying to talk to people seriously, but when I'm trying to understand things that that, that I, that like how does light make my ability to see certain colors that a bat can't see, you know, or that some other animal can't see, or some fish can't see, right? And I understand how we explain it, but all of our studies on the brain cutting open cadavers are based on our sensory experience, which is manufactured probably to help us survive, so to speak. Um, so I'm going to say something that's always sort of been a concrete thing for me that makes me understand that maybe the universe uh, and us don't exist as separate objects. That's basically what emptiness is. Like that nothing exists at a separate object. Separate object. We can't see some things, so we think of ourselves as these separate objects. For example, for me, we can't see the Earth's atmosphere with our eyes. So we think that our physical selves stop before the skin and the rest of the world starts, right? But that's an arbitrary designation based on how we perceive things, not just what our eyes can do, but how our brain manufactures into those things. The way we know, one way we know that the brain manufactures things is because a lot of people have what we call hallucinations, or you can call them different paintings the brain makes based on sensory input and its structure and whatever else is going on inside the body, right? So if you have, if you're diagnosed and you know that you have hallucinations, it can help you to like feel a little better when you're freaked out or scared by your hallucination, because you'll start to say, "Oh, I know that. I know that that's not. There's no ghost in front of me sent by the FBI to drag me in for interrogation." Right? Like I'm not making a joke here. That's what some people have. They have the visual hallucination, smell hallucinations, hearing hallucinations, taste hallucinations. Um, you have them too. If you've ever been in the shower and you thought you heard somebody call your name and you go out there and you realize nobody's been home for an hour, you know, that's your brain manufactures, tries to take whatever data is coming in. So yeah, perception is not accurate. Perception doesn't represent what's there. And it is possible that there is no like this is so dumb. I don't like the way this sounds. It's going to sound airy for you. There's no Jim Porter. There is just all this material that interacts based on, you know, real principles of how the universe works, real forces and whatnot, and it eventually forms into us perceiving ourselves as something that needs to be protected from other things, or something that needs to take advantage of other things. We eat a fruit, and then we kind of take it for granted that it becomes a part of us. It spreads around our body, and it's got the makes our cells and helps hormones happen and all kinds of stuff. So you can sort of get that, like maybe the Buddhists were kind of something onto something. It's just that I think if you go further, then you can describe or imagine in a way that makes you feel like I'm kind of still being sane and somewhat rational, and I'm exploring. And I don't quite buy some of the stuff that I'm hearing people say about it. Um, then you're like me and therefore smart and handsome and attractive and a very good singer, and a very good, talented. I don't want to say it. It's kind of embarrassing. So I think that's it for me on emptiness right now. Thank you very much. And roll credits. The show's over. Jim's looking around for the button that turns off the camera.